That worked. All right. I'm Erik Hall, the digital sports editor at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I'm joined by Gary Potosky, that was APSE president in 21-22 while he was sports editor at the Philadelphia Inquirer. So thanks for joining me, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
So how'd you get involved with APSE?
I got involved. Boss was a longtime member of APSE, and he asked me to go to judging one year because he couldn't go. So I went, and I really met some people that it was the first time I ever had really any sort of an understanding that people from different organizations sort of collaborated and helped each other and exchanged ideas. I was a little more insular up to that point of really looking at my own shop, and it really intrigued me, piqued my interest in the whole idea of doing that. And of course, by judging, I'm seeing what other people are doing, which I hadn't been able to do either, all over the country. And it gave me a lot of ideas. And I thought, this is really, it's like a game changer. It was really a game changer for me and how I looked at my career. I'd already been doing it for quite a while at the time, but now I saw it as sort of like a new chapter I could really go into. So that made me want to keep going. And, eventually, just a year later, became sports editor. And so I just kept coming, and so that just became part of me.
Yeah. What led to you becoming president of the organization?
I think that I was already in my late 40s. I've been in the business a long time, so even though I was new to APSE when I started, I think I had a lot of ideas that I think I kind of already understood, that I was sharing ideas and hearing things, and I felt like I could be in a place to fill that role. It just felt right that I could be in that position to facilitate ideas and to help other people. I mean, I think at its core, APSE is a voluntary organization that's really meant to help. We're meant to help each other and to support each other. And I felt like as a new member, an enthusiastic new member, and someone with a lot of experience in the field, and having gone through many different levels of paper, I had started a small daily and then a mid-size and then a larger paper, that I could, be in that position to sort of have some wisdom in some of these areas. And so I felt like I could offer that. And so that's sort of what led me to want to be in leadership. And then some of the longer standing members had shown interest in me running. And so I did run. I ran a couple times where I didn't win until I finally did win an election. And it's because, you sort of develop your ideas and your connections in the industry and in the organization over time. And that's kind of how it worked for me. Eventually, it put me over the top. And that's kind of how I ended up into national office.
What are some things you're most proud of from your term as president and what you accomplished?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is that, I was part of the trio of pandemic presidents. I think that one of the things I recognized, because I was in office, even though I wasn't president, I was in office when the pandemic hit. So I recognized once my presidency got there, that one of my main goals was to get us past the pandemic, regardless of where the actual disease was and what it was preventing people from doing. I knew that APSE had to get on with its existence. And for us, our existence depends on people participating, people being in front of each other, people who are, because that's the sharing of ideas and the support. We couldn't be an organization that was separated from each other and feeling like it was just something that wasn't necessary. We had to go back to being necessary. Not that we had to make sure we felt necessary, even after the time when we weren't in front of each other for like a year. So that was my main goal, and I think we pretty much accomplished that. We did have judging, and we did have a summer conference during my presidency in person. But the main thing was we got to the point where we were adjusting to the new world after COVID in our industry, about how people were available to handle issues, the new and emerging issues like remote work and things like that. And so I feel like I helped APSE, and this was my goal, was to help APSE get to that next phase, that post-pandemic phase, intact, with membership, with participation from its members, and still the importance of the contest. And of course, also during my years in office, we revamped the contest, partly due to the pandemic, but then it really emerged as a much more digital contest. And that's something also that I really wanted to accomplish.
what were some ways you helped it become more of a digital contest?
Well, I think that I went into national office sort of anticipating running the contest. And one of the things I thought of is I want the contest to reflect what we do as sports editors every day. I didn't want to be beholden to traditions that were no longer something that we paid a lot of attention to. So we completely overhauled the digital contest, which is the website contest. So maybe 10 years ago, that was sort of something that we had, but today it's sort of like what you really want to be the best at. If you're in leadership in your sports newsroom, the thing you want to be best at is having a great website. So that website contest, which used to be a little simpler, used to be having judges just open up the site and sort of look at it, test it out, look at it around, and then go on to the next one. We revamped it to sort of treat it like all the other contest categories. So we had editors pick out their best stuff, show what you're capable of in digital, and that came out of many conversations. But it had some low participation the first year because it was almost like a shock to the system. Wow, what's this new contest with new category? But it gained a lot of participation last year and this year, and I think now the contest reflects what we do every day. Your best work is in there and is being judged as the best work you do as a sports department, because it shows up on our website, which is what we all want to do.
Before becoming president, something else you were involved in as well was the commissioners' meetings. Talk about that and your experience running those, and what are some of your memories from those?
Well, that was one of the things that made me interested in running for office. Is that I asked to do it, and I was put in a position to sort of handle it. It's really a one-person job at many levels, and talking to the leagues and trying to get everybody organized around, all the leagues organized around it. They're mostly located in New York, or if they're not in New York, they can send somebody to New York. So it's all done in New York City, and it was really an interesting experience to listen to the leagues and how they felt about us as sports editors, and we learned a lot about how they operate when it comes to dealing with the media and what they thought we should be doing and what we were doing, and a lot of great exchanges of ideas. And so I think that it was a great experience, and I think that it's important that we keep the leagues treat us with the respect and the importance that we have. And I think the best way to do that is to be in front of them at least once a year and have that exchange of ideas.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite memories of conferences or other events for APSE that you've been able to attend?
I think I don't know if there's a lot of moments as opposed to, I really think that my favorite thing about the conferences is the relationships with other editors across the country and sort of that collegiality, exchanging ideas, knowing that some of the things you struggle with, other people struggle with, hearing ideas and getting to know people and being able to bounce ideas off people all year round. I mean, we meet twice a year, but now I talk to editors from all over the country all throughout the year. And I think that, like I said earlier, I think it was game changing for my career. I think of things differently. If I have an issue I'm dealing with, I might just call the sports editor of another newspaper or another organization and say, I'm dealing with something here. What did you have to do when that happened? And then many times that's come into to play. So I really love the relationships I've built, and there's friendships and there's professional collegiality, and it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. What's some advice you would have for future presidents of APSE?
I think that everybody, it's a good question. I think that every president has their own era to deal with. Everything sort of passes forward, and then there's always new things that crop up. I think the main thing is to have a couple of big ideas, at least big to yourself as a leader, and say, these are things that even though other things will come up and I'll have to deal with a lot of different things, a lot of decisions, a lot of questions, a lot of organizing, a lot of planning, a lot of writing, all those things that you do as president, I think that you always have to keep your eye on the fact that there are a couple things you never want to let slip away. And for me, the main thing was that getting to that post-pandemic as an organization that had participation, that we were in front of each other and we were engaged with each other on these issues so that we could help each other out. Because every year, new issues come up in the industry. We're so quickly moving to a digital industry, which is, even though it's not new per se, there's new parts of it that come up every year because we're all sort of, running at some pace to get revenue from it. And, we're looking for what the readers want as opposed to what advertisers want as an emphasis. So there's always new things every year. So there's always be new things for a president to think about, but always to keep an eye on a couple of big ideas that are really helpful for the long haul for APSE.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about, either your APSE presidency or any other moments that stand out to you?
I think the main thing I would like to say is that if you are a member, or if you are thinking about becoming a member, or you used to be a member and were thinking about going back, that APSE has evolved, I think, in this industry, just as the industry has evolved with the changes that have been sort of forced upon it. You see the great successes of places that they do very well digitally because they planned it, or they've just fought through the changes and they've come out the other side and done well. And I think APSE is in that same exact position. But the main thing that APSE will make it a success, and it will make all of our members successes and help them to succeed, is to engage, volunteer, participate. It doesn't have to be a lot. But I think that as long as people are willing to be part of it and not just know about it, to know that we're not what we were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. APSE is changing just like our industry is changing. And it's changing in a way that's trying to benefit its members. It's trying to benefit all sports editors and all sports shops throughout the country. I think that's the main thing I would want everybody to do.
Anything else you want to add?
I do not.
All right. Well, thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.